Welcome to the podcast, Badass Mother Hustler, where the grit, stress, and the beauty of motherhood and entrepreneurship meet. We'll share the realities and stories of what it takes to make it all work and still be a badass mother. Now here's your host, Maddie Yaka.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode. Today, we are chatting with badass mother hustler, Rebecca Ryan. She is the mother to 3 children and the owner of Balanced Babysitting. Every entrepreneur mother has a story, and we can't wait to hear yours. So thanks for coming on today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here and to chat with all of your guests.
Yay. So what have you got in store for the rest of the day? It's like half the day's over.
Pretty much. After this, my youngest should be done with his nap, and then it's lunchtime, nap for my middle child, and then just gonna try and sit down and get some work done, hopefully.
Hopefully. Yeah, I feel that. So why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So, like Maddie said, I'm a mom of 3. I'm also a stay-at-home mom, but I also have my own business. I have Balanced Babysitting. I am a board-certified behavior analyst, and I'm also a behavioral specialist. So I'm just a mom trying to do it all, be at home with my kids and work, and that's a little bit about me.
What was your job before you had children?
So I worked in the field clinically. I worked at a local clinic. It was a multidisciplinary clinic, which was really fun. We got to work with psych, we got to work with OT, speech, PT. So I have a lot of love for the other disciplines that are in my field. I worked as a BCBA, had a caseload, and it was busy. It was good work, but it was busy and fun. And I did it in home, in schools, in the community.
How many years did you do that before you had children?
I did it for about, I want to say like 6 years before I had my first.
And then when you had your first, is that when you decided to stay home, or did you go back to work for a little bit?
Yeah, after I had my first, I took maternity leave. I went back to work after 12 weeks and I transitioned. Instead of doing full time, I switched to part time, had her in daycare. And then just when I was about to have my second child, the clinic that I worked at actually closed down, which was a big shock. So we had to navigate, okay, I'm about to go out on maternity leave. What am I going to do? So me and my husband sat down and we decided that I would stay at home with my 2 kids. And when I was at home, I absolutely loved it, but it was a big shift going from working full time, then part time, and then just being at home and not doing anything. So I loved it. I loved being at home, but I also felt like I used my brain so much clinically. I had to do something. And that was kind of the birth of balanced babysitting.
I can understand where you're coming from because last year my kids were Dakota was in kindergarten 5 days a week and Grant was in 3 days a week. So I felt like I had a little bit of balance, like, oh, I could be my business self for those 3 days. And then I got to spend time with Grant the other 2 days, and Dakota got out of school early and stuff. She was home by like 3:15. But this year I'm going to give a go at homeschooling, and
All right.
I pulled at a daycare and I got the new baby with me. So I'm just taking a whack at it all while trying to run a business. And I feel like the way to do it is to kind of have a schedule. Stay-at-home moms, like, did you get into a schedule? Did that help lessen I feel like every day is chaos and nothing's really happening?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Well, first and foremost, lots of luck to you on the journey that you're about to embark on. I think it's going to be beautiful and great, and it's awesome that you're doing that. But I will say, for me personally, I felt like I needed to have a routine and a schedule, and I was kind of rigid with it. And what I found was, especially being a mom of 3 now, you have to lower your expectations. Can't be rigid. You really just have to go with the flow. And I think having a loose schedule kind of helps, like looking at your week and you're like, okay, on Tuesday, we don't have any doctor's appointments or anything going on. Let's get out to the playground. Let's, do a few things before that nap and lunchtime hustle. So yeah, I think my biggest piece of advice is you can have a schedule, do what works best for you, but have low expectations, go with the flow. Because I found that if I had a routine and structure and I didn't get the chance to get to do those things, I got really upset and it just made for a bad day.
That's what I have learned about myself as well. So that's over the years, I have become more go with the flow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So when, what point in the staying home? Oh, okay. So you had just found out that your job was closing. And
Mhm.
then how long after that did you launch Balanced Babysitting, and what gave you the idea?
Yeah, so in August of 2022, that's when we all kind of found out that we were going to be laid off. And I had my son on Halloween. And so I was at home during that time. And I would say from October to February of 2023. That's when I finally sat down and I said, you know what? I went on to Zen Business and I started my LLC. It had been something that I was thinking about for a really, really long time, even when I was working in the clinic setting. And I said, you know what? This is the perfect time to do it. Stop thinking about it, just jump and go and do. And I'm so happy I did.
Why did you want to start your own business if you'd been thinking about it for a while?
Yeah, I just noticed that there was a really big need for families who have children with special needs to have caregivers like babysitters or nannies to come in and provide care for their kids that actually have experience working in the field. When I was working clinically, when I, did parent coaching with families, oftentimes moms would say, do you know anyone? Can you babysit? Can the RBTs babysit? We have a good relationship with them. And unfortunately, in our field, it's an ethical violation. We cannot do babysitting when we're working directly with the family. And so I got that question all the time, and I'm like, there has to be a solution. There has to be a way for these parents to go and get, some time away. If they want a date night, they need to take a break, just like all parents. We all need a break. So that was really the driving force behind it. I thought, well, maybe I can provide that solution. And I kept thinking about it and doing research and thinking about it some more, and here we are today.
What was the beginning steps like of starting your business with two small children?
Definitely challenging, and it's still challenging to this day, trying to manage when I can sit down and get work done, but in the beginning, it was flying by the seat of my pants. I was just trying to do what I can whenever I had those moments when the baby was down for a nap or, my older child was napping herself. I would just kind of jump on and scramble and do things quick, and then they would be up, and then I would switch over, put my mom hat on, um, and spend time with them. But yeah, it was definitely challenging trying to navigate both of those.
I think that mothers that run businesses are the absolute shit. They're awesome because seriously, we are the people that are running businesses in the cracks of every day.
Any little moment of free time, I'm like, okay, let me jump on and do. And I just like feel like I'm scrambling to get it all done.
Yeah, sometimes that's what I feel like as well. Now,
Mhm.
does entrepreneurship run in your family? Did you have a bug from that, or you just had a calling?
Not really. I mean, my dad is a chiropractor and he owned his own practice for a very, very long time and he still does. So any like business related questions, I would kind of pick his brain a little bit. But yeah, entrepreneurship is not really in my family lineage.
Yeah. So, did you go and help him in his practice growing up at all, or you were like, oh, dad's going to work and that's that?
Yeah, pretty much. Dad's going to work. I didn't really think much about it until I got to this stage in my life and I decided to start my own business. I was like, oh, whoa, yeah, he had his own business. Wow.
You're like, who do I turn to ask all these questions that I now
Yeah,
have?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
um, Now, what we talked about, the beginning stages of your business, and you said your mission was to give families the peace of mind they deserve while empowering caregivers to make a meaningful impact. So what is it like to try to find people who are qualified to watch um, these children?
Yeah, it's a process. You know, you can't just go on Facebook, go out in your neighborhood and just get any kind of babysitter. Like a young neighborhood babysitter that's 16 years old, they've babysat a lot of people, that's not going to fly with the neurodivergent population that we serve. So I use a lot of different resources that I have. There's a few connections locally with different clinics and schools that I'm able to tap into and just kind of chat with different people that have the background working in the field. I'm pretty strict with the requirements. There's a rigorous onboarding and vetting process that they have to go through. And if they make it through their process, then they're going to be a great sitter. If they don't make it through that process, then there's a reason why they didn't join the team.
My mother-in-law just showed up. I'm like, don't come in. The dogs will bark. There's too much
Stop.
happening.
So there's different like outlets. We do require they have to have at least 2 years of paid experience working in the field. So me and my team were really diving in and looking at what that experience is exactly. You know, maybe they were a babysitter for a family who had a child with an autism diagnosis. That's all fine and good, but I'd rather see more, you know, of a professional background. We love having RBTs join the team, special ed teachers, you know, people that have really been in the field.
Are your caregivers more retired people then, or do you see an influx of people looking to become caregivers in the summer because they are special ed teachers and they're off for the summer?
Yeah, that's a good question. So it's really a mix. We do have some people that are retired. On the team. And then we actually do have a lot of people that currently work in the field, whether that's in a clinic or a school, because then they'll pick up a lot of after school support and care, or even like date night stuff, things on the weekend. I think the sitters really love the fact that it's so flexible and works with their schedule, whatever that may be, because I understand schedules are constantly changing. So they can go on, they can kind of pick up and work whenever they want. And a lot of sitters have mentioned that it's really helpful for them to be able to do this as an outlet because when you're working in the field, you know, a lot of us, you know, we have big hearts. We give so much to our clients and the families that we work with, and it can be really draining. There's a big burnout rate in our field. But it's nice to have the opportunity to still do the fun part of the job, like playing with the kids, building that rapport, being goofy without having to sit down and do therapy and do protocols and all those different things.
How many years have you had this business for?
Um, in November, we will be going on year 3.
Okay. And what has the evolution of the business been like?
I would say very fast growth at first. When we launched, there was a huge list of families that reached out that wanted care, and that's never stopped. We've always had a lot of families reaching out, you know, a huge demand, which is really, really great. But behind the scenes, there's been slow but steady growth as I learned to navigate, you know, having a business and being in the industry that I am in, which is like the nanny industry. I've learned a lot about it. Um, but yeah, it's been good. It's fast, slow, steady, all the things.
When you first started, how many families did you have looking for caregivers? Like 5?
Oh no. When we launched, I would say we had about 50 families that
Wow.
had reached out. And
And
now
you
that we're going on year 3, we're
list because
in the
you
hundreds.
had a certain amount of caregivers?
What?
Did you have a waiting list because you only had a certain amount of
Mhm.
caregivers?
Yeah. Actually, this time last year, we had a wait list up.
Wow.
Mhm.
So how many caregivers did you have when you launched and how many do you have now?
So when we launched, I had about 10 caregivers, and now we have about, I mean, It varies because now we're in summer, so we have a lot of people. Right now it's about 50, and I would say when the school year starts, it'll probably drop to 40, high 30s.
So that seems like a lot of people to be in charge of. A lot of communication. You're like
Mhm.
double side communication, communicating with caregivers, communicating with the people that want to hire them. So, what is that like?
It's a lot to navigate. But luckily, I do have a wonderful system that I use that funnels all of my sitters, all of my families in so I can keep everything organized. We have a booking system so I can keep track of who's working with who, making sure it's a good fit behind the scenes. And I also have an executive assistant who I brought on board around this time last year before I had my third baby. And she has just been a lifesaver because I could not do it all on my own. It's a
If
lot to remember and coordinate.
if someone wanted to book a caregiver, is it an app or do they go to a website? How's that work?
So we do have an app. They can also go onto our website and request care. Once they get into our system, that's when I always recommend download the app, jump on, and you can book a sitter and get care.
What has it been like to try to figure all of this out for someone that didn't really have entrepreneurship in their family? Because I know for me, I have a business with my sister, and I am fortunate because we like to describe it as a yin and yang. Um, we complement each other wonderfully. So I'm the more techie person, and I love that, and I'll do the research and figure it out. But what was it like for you to try to figure out what you needed?
Yeah, it was a lot of Googling. I jumped into a bunch of Facebook groups for people that are in my industry to learn a little bit more. Just leaning on your peers whenever you can. I did actually work with a coach named Megan Metzger. I absolutely love her. She is like a queen in the industry, and she really helped guide me towards what I needed to have my business be successful. So I think the biggest piece of advice is just ask for help and lean on the people around you.
She's great in the caregiver industry, or what type of? Yeah.
Yeah, the nanny industry. Mhm.
So is she known regionally or nationally?
I would say nationally, she does coaching for agencies all over the place.
Yeah, awesome.
Mhm.
And so I had asked you when we had been going back and forth on Instagram, like, what message do you want to convey to our listeners? And you had said that you hope to inspire other entrepreneurs, especially mothers, to pursue their ideas, even if the path feels uncertain. Can you go into that a little bit?
Absolutely. I think, just going off of that, what's most important is if you have a dream and you have an idea and you're thinking about it, the best thing you can do is just go and launch and do it because you don't want to live with regret and look back on, well, I really should have, or I really could have. Life is short. To just go and do it and feel empowered and grow. And if you stumble and it doesn't work, that's okay. At least you tried.
What has been so awesome about building your business in this area?
I think what's really awesome about it is the connections that I've made and all the families that I've helped support along the way. I don't get to do it as much as I would like to because my assistant, she does a lot of the calls with our families and our sitters. But whenever I get the chance to pick up the phone and speak with a family or a sitter, it's just truly amazing. It really fuels why I'm doing this. And it kind of brings me back to my why. So I think that's been a really positive piece throughout my entrepreneurship.
Can you share some specific stories that you have about what the journey's been like or working with the families or anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that comes to mind is recently we started working with a family who has an older child, and they had never used a babysitter before. So they were really anxious about booking a sitter. A lot of phone calls back and forth talking about their child's needs, how we can support them. And I dive into a bunch of different things. I want to know a little bit more about the diagnosis, different supports that they have in place. So what I did was I connected this family with at least 3 sitters. I always recommend to families that wanna do on-call babysitting. Consistency is really important, especially in the neurodivergent community, and having at least 2 or 3 trusted sitters is really important. Well, mom was super nervous. I said, "Don't worry, we're gonna get you matched with these sitters. You have the opportunity, you can do a meet and greet." The sitters came in, they met the family, and mom loved all 3 of the sitters, which is great because now she can go and take a break and have that peace of mind and trust that the sitters are there, they're gonna take care of her child. So that was a really cool win.
That is awesome that she
Mhm.
matched with all three after being so nervous about the process.
Yeah.
Now, what is the age range of kids that the caregivers will come in and help with?
There's really no limit. Typically, the youngest we've had is a couple of months old, and then the oldest we've had is about 30.
Yeah. So I actually have a sister that has Down syndrome, and
Mhm.
I mean, she could be left. She is very independent and can be left alone for a few hours, but nothing longer just because she doesn't feel comfortable with it, especially when it gets dark. I mean,
Mhm.
I understand that. Like when I was a little kid, I was scared when I got left alone in the dark. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's great that you don't, that it like ranges into adulthood as well.
Definitely. And, for someone like your sister, I understand for older individuals, like babysitter, that kind of sounds a little bit silly. And we actually have a program called Balanced Buddies. And it's similar to like a buddy program that they would have in high school, but this is designed for the kids that we work with. I shouldn't say kids, but the individuals that we work with who are, 13 or older, where they kind of still need that support, but they don't exactly need the support of a babysitter. And what's really fun about the Balanced Buddies is they can go with the individual and go out and about with them in public. And they're kind of, naturally working on some social skill stuff. Maybe this individual is really just looking for a friend and they want to go to the dog park or they want to go shopping. We can provide that for them, which is really cool.
That is awesome because I know just from my sister's experience, like she did Best Buddies in high school and she absolutely loved it. And then
And
after that, it was like over. So that's super cool. Since then, we found something else locally that she really enjoys, but that's just on the weekends.
mm,
Yeah.
that's good.
Um, what is a pivotal moment in your entrepreneurial journey that significantly impacted your business or personal life?
I would say a big moment for me was when I was spending a little too much time at my computer, a little too much time on my phone, trying to coordinate things with my families and sitters. And I sat back for a moment and I said, wait, this is not realistic. I'm going to burn myself out. And I realized that I needed help and I needed to take a step back and pivot and ask for some help because I was trying to do it all. Because I can be a little controlling.
Same here. That's I'm the oldest of 8, so I feel like that's just me. Or do you have a lot of siblings in your family? Are you the
I
oldest of 2?
do no, so I'm in the middle and I'm one of 6. So
Yeah, maybe it's like a big family thing. You have to try to have
maybe.
control because there's always chaos. Fun
Mhm.
chaos, but
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. Which I think, like, being strong and controlling is great in business, but it also can hurt it because you really can't do it all. You're gonna burn yourself out.
now is that when you had decided to get your executive administrator? I forget what you call
Mhm.
that person.
Yeah, my executive assistant, Ashley. Again, that was right around the time I was due to give birth, and I'm like, "I can't be doing things from the hospital bed. I need someone to come on board," and she's just been amazing. She actually has experience in the industry herself, so it was beautiful. I didn't really have to do too much training because I definitely didn't have time for that. But yeah, that was the moment when I realized, "Okay, maybe I should ask for help."
Yeah, yeah, I have been down that path. I definitely understand that. What are some key lessons that you've learned as a mother and an entrepreneur that you would like to share with our audience?
A few things, kind of just piggybacking off of what we were just talking about. You can't do it all. Let go with control, go with the flow, and just remember you're doing your best each and every day. And that's all you can ask for.
I think that is the best thing to help a mother entrepreneur get through her day is just remember you're doing your best. If you have
Mhm.
a list, you're not going to check it all off. If you
No.
I just know from experience because if you try to check it all off, then you're going to drive yourself crazy. You're not going to be happy with what's going on in the moment.
Mhm.
Back to what you said, just go with the flow. And I've really just embraced that, especially when I knew that a third child was coming. I just try to let it all roll off, you know?
Yeah. Just do what you can.
Oh, yeah. So we are going to pivot to our rapid fire 5 and 5. And these are some fun questions about you. What
Okay.
do you do to recharge and how do you find time for yourself?
I like to sit on the couch and veg and just mindlessly scroll through social media. Not healthy, but it's what I do.
What do you find typically shows up in your feed?
Recipes. Recipes that I'm never gonna make, but I save them anyway. Different outfits, because being a young 30-year-old mom, I wanna look cute, but things that I never purchase, again, save it to my camera roll. Those are the types of things that come up. Parenting advice that makes you feel guilty, gives you major mom guilt, those sorts of things.
Um, yeah, recipes. I've got a few of those. I am not a cook. I wish I
No.
got that from my mom, but I am not a cook. But yeah, I'll go back and I'm like, oh, I forgot that I saved this. That would be a fun thing to try. Never mind.
Yeah, never happens. I usually, like, go through my camera roll each month, and I just delete all the recipes that I saved. I'm like, no, who am I kidding? I'm not gonna make this."
What are you currently reading or listening to?
Oh my gosh, I'm working through a few books right now. It takes me a really long time to get through books, but I love my Kindle because I can read it whenever I can. I actually was just reading through the Oh Crap! Potty training book because we're gearing up to train my 2-year-old to do potty training. Um, and then there's another book that I was reading. Um, I don't remember the name of it.
What type of do you only like to read informational books or do you like fun books too?
I like a mix. I like informational books. I do like the fun fluff books. And I also really like to read biographies.
Ooh, you're the first to mention that out of all 29 episodes.
Oh, I just like hearing about people's life story and how they got where they are. It's really interesting to me.
It is. From a business owner perspective, who is your role model?
Mm, That's a really good question. Um, One person that I really love, I listen to her podcast often, is Mel Robbins. I think she's really motivational, so I would say I look up to her. I will do a plug in again for my coach, Megan Metzger. I really look up to her as well. She's done amazing things in the industry.
Have you read Mel Robbins' book that everyone was freaking out and loving? The Let Them
The Let Them
Theory?
Theory. Yeah, that's one of my Kindle reads right now.
Nice. What is the song that you blast the shit out of if entrepreneur mom life is too much for you that day?
Oh, good question. Um, Right now, I would say I listen to a lot of kids' music. I, like, don't listen to my own music right now, but if I'm
So you
like,
like
"Okay, I
blast
need to
Frozen?
de-stress," and just, like yeah, right? Right now, it's, this song "Farting Around the House" that my 4-year-old is into, so that's, like, on repeat in my head. But no, I usually will just say to Alexa, like, "Play country heat." Just throw on some country music.
Who's your favorite country artist?
I would say right now Morgan Wallen.
Yeah. Okay, but I definitely have a crush on Riley Green.
I saw him live at the Phillies game last year. He is fine.
Oh, lucky you.
He is. Woo. Yeah.
Um, So my youngest sister goes to Penn State, and before he blew up, she bought tickets. She bought like pit tickets at the BJC to see him, and she didn't ask anyone to go with her yet. So I was like, yo, I'm coming up and I am your
Oh,
date, and I'm going to see.
yes. He's great. Yeah, this is like before he like blew up. I remember my husband told me like, "Oh, after the Phillies game, we're gonna see a concert because we love to do that." And I was like, "All right, Riley Greenline, who is that?" So he was playing some of his music before, and I was like, "All right, whatever." And then we saw him, and I was like, "Oh, I'm in love."
Okay, it's so funny because he has had songs for years, but he only
Huh.
just recently blew up in the past, I would say, year. Um, I think with that song with Ella Langley,
Okay.
that helped them
Looks
blow
like
up.
you love me, that
Yeah.
one. Okay,
But if you
I could
Google
see
him,
that.
he had like tons of other songs because my husband was like, "Who's Riley Green?" And I'm like, "We've listened to his stuff on the highway for years." But anyway, now that everyone knows who my
Amazing.
crush is,
Yes, a good one.
what's some advice that you can give a struggling entrepreneur mom who might be ready to call it quits?
Just keep pushing through. Each day is gonna be different. There's gonna be ups and downs, and when you're in the downs, you just have to keep trucking along and keep pushing through because you'll get up to the other side of the mountain.
When you are feeling that kind of down part, who do you turn to vent to?
Good question. Because I have a lot of days like that. Some days are really, really challenging. First and foremost, my husband, he gets an earful. And then I'll just call my girlfriends and chat about it, and then talk to my assistant. And then I'm quickly reminded of my why and why I'm doing this. And then I get motivated again and get that energy, and I'm good. And then next week, it might be the same thing. I'm kind of down in the dumps, but yeah, it's just ebbs and flows.
Yeah, I was just curious. That wasn't one of the rapid fire 5 and 5. It just came from our conversation. I found that obviously I as well would vent to my husband, and he has his own business as well, but his is construction and I'm a realtor, have a team with
Mhm.
my sister, so he just doesn't quite get it. So I normally do the business venting to my sister
Mm,
because she gets it.
that's nice.
Yeah. Now, I want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast and sharing about your journey and what it was like to build your business with kids. If listeners wanted to reach out to you, what's the best way for them to get in touch?
Absolutely. They can reach out through email. They can email me at Rebecca@balancedbabysitting.com, or they can just go onto our website. We have some contact info on there and our number, and I'm happy to chat with anyone that's interested in connecting, whether that's using the business or they just want another business friend.
Awesome. Well, hang tight because we will chat real quick after this. And everyone else, thanks for listening to the episode. And as always, I'm going to leave you with a quote. Moms who chase their dreams teach their kids to do the same. Until next time.
Thank you for joining this episode of Badass Mother Hustler. If you loved this episode as much as we did, and it left you feeling inspired and empowered, give us a quick like and subscribe, and we'll invite you back to our next episode. And be sure to share us on your socials and visit our Instagram, Badass Mother Hustler Podcast. We'll see you next time.